How do you feel about the idea of having someone in the managerial role that is not loved by everyone, but might be a motivator? It seemed like Jerry Krause lit a fire under their asses.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, right? But I got to be honest. There's that Jerry Krause comment that players don't win championships, organizations do. And I always remind myself, because there's times when you want to brag on the organization and this and that. And, that thought always goes through my head before I say anything, because the reality is it's all about the players. And he learned it the hard way, man. I mean, that was 22 years ago they won their last championship. I don't want to go. It's already been 9 years for us. I don't want to go 22 years. So I'm trying to learn, from what they did.
Being that you're so competitive like Michael Jordan, in those years where there was, what is he going to do next because of the relationship with Jerry Krause, would Mark Cuban have made a push for Michael Jordan like no one else?
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. Well, let me just tell you, when I did buy the Mavs, David Falk, his agent, called me up and said, you need to meet Michael. And so I went to David's office, and there was Michael with all the paperwork to be part of the Wizards right on the table. I'm like, dude, don't sign it. I'll do whatever it takes. You come, I'll give you partnership like these guys are doing, and we'll win. I'll spend whatever. He's like, Mark can't do it. I gave him my word. So to his credit, obviously it didn't happen, but I tried.
Now, what is your gut instinct, Mark? When does the NBA come back? I know there's no official thing. Do you feel like you have, as you said, I've heard you say you want a few warm-up games and then the postseason. Do you see it happening in the next couple months? What's your gut instinct telling you?
I'm just guessing. My gut says we do. It's going to come down to testing, like I said, but I think the science is going to be there. Look, I'm an optimist. I'm a believer in American exceptionalism. I think we got great scientists, and everything I read says we're getting closer and closer to a vaccine and therapies. So I think it happens. No fans, and I think it's a Hotel California type deal where you check in and never leave. And so we'll do it in like a big hotel and set it all up so people come in, they get tested, we make sure they're safe, we make sure everything's just sparkling clean, and we keep them there and play the games and go from there. And for most players, at the beginning there'll be 30 teams, and then once the playoffs start, it'll be smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's not going to be that big an imposition. So I think it happens. And then, part and parcel to that is we won't start the season until December, probably Christmas Day.
What sort of plan do you have in effect to when we get back at it and back to it again? Even at the arenas, are you going to have what we call urinal spacing where there's one seat apart and concessions and things like that? What sort of examples are you setting?
We're trying to figure that out right now. Right? It really depends on how we can keep the place clean. And here, it sounds a little crazy, but we're talking about doing it like a haunted house. Like you go into a haunted house and there's like a line to get in, and you have your spacing automatically unless you're really close to somebody, and you're not allowed to touch anything. So we're talking about like scheduling when somebody can park, right? Give them an assigned parking spot, no matter who it is, right? Assigned parking spot, give you a time, have someone, give you a path to guide you to where you need to go, check into the arena, and then have them take you to your seat. But the challenging part and the really interesting part is going to be how you figure out who co-quarantine, right? Because it's not just about everybody being 6 feet apart. So if you have 3 kids, your wife, your 3 kids, and maybe, grandma and grandpa stayed with you, that's 7 people that can sit together, right? And then maybe how do we expand that co-quarantine? Is there somebody else that you're close enough with that you trust them, that you're willing to sit behind them or in front of them? How do we match those people up safely, and how do we group them together safely? So that allows us to have more and more groups of people rather than just one-offs. And those are the types of things we're thinking about. And then there's things like how do you reduce the touch points, like, Alexa, Google Home type things, so you can talk to things, So if you're at the urinal and you're just going to say, okay, urinal, flush.
That's crazy.
I'm not going to want to touch that handle, right? Or maybe there's just the visual thing. But all those types of things we're looking at. Okay, urinal, flush.